Cash flow is critical in any business, and yours is no different. The money you spend on material, labor, gas, and other expenses needs to be put back in the bank as soon as possible. I've always found the following to be somewhat of a phenomenon. Many clients think that contractors can wait on their money for some reason. And this may come from the old days before contractorpreneur business training for contractors, but honestly, it's always perplexed me. Clients will say, hey, just send me a bill. I say not only no, but hell no. This is a question for you. Do you go to the grocery store to get your food and say, send me a bill? No. You're going to pay for it some way or the other. When you bought gas in your car this morning, did you say, send me a bill? No. Contractpreneurs are no different. Services are paid for upon delivery every time. For some reason that's beyond me, most contractors have a void in them that thinks collecting their money is evil or something. And I can go on and on here with examples. Just know that as with your doctor, your lawyer, mechanic, dentist, anyone else you deal with financially, payment is due upon services rendered. Be creative with collecting your money also. If a client can't be there to pay you as you finish for some reason, decide while you're talking to the client about the job, in the scheduling and the details, how you will get paid in full. It's just human nature, but the value of the service is greatly diminished after the service is performed. Once you've repaired that particular problem, it is no longer pressing them, and the details of it go into another less important file, so to speak, in their minds. On large jobs, and the client is new and doesn't fully trust you yet, ask that they leave a credit card payment for 50% of the job as quoted, with the understanding that you will bill the same credit card for the rest upon completion. Anyone who refuses to put at least 50% payment up front is not to be trusted. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. There's something wrong with the relationship, and not necessarily on your part. The client may have trust issues. They may have been taken to the cleaners by a contractor before. Not your problem. You are one of the elite, one of the highest trained service people in the world due to your contractorpreneur training. You are to be trusted, and you will prove them that you are different. But without at least a 50% deposit on jobs, there is no basis for a relationship with them. Now, the exception may be a small, quick service call of little financial risk to you. Now, if you find it hard to talk about the deposit or getting paid, it's this simple. Do whatever it takes to get over it. Just respectfully blurt it out. You'll see how easy it becomes, I promise. This is for the good of your family and the future of your business. Think to your past about something you had to overcome for the greater good of your future and channel that industry into this task. I tell the client that deposit reserves time on my schedule. No deposit, no time reserved for the project, period. As you're looking at the job and determining what the costs are, practice saying the price to yourself. Once you have figured everything up and the option levels are neatly written descriptively on your invoice, ask the client to sit down with you for a moment to discuss the job. Look at the client in the eyes and discuss the options. At some point, they will either tell you go or no. With a go, tell them thanks for doing business with you and ask, how do you want to pay for that? It's that simple. How do you want to pay for that? You hear it every day, again, at the gas station, at the grocery store, at the doctor's office. Do you want to put it on a credit card? Do you want to write a check? This gets it out in the open and lets the potential client know that you're serious about getting paid. There are different scenarios for different contractorpreneur businesses. Some businesses are purely a repair type entity where there's very little material and nearly all labor and the work is done immediately and finished within the same day. Some jobs take a few days or more. In any case, I determine the price of the repair and the options, get the price pre-approved, and get a signature on the descriptively written invoice and bill 50% of the job to start. This is a trust between you and the client. You agree to start the job for 50% billed, and the client agrees to pay you upon completion. I prefer to get paid by credit card or debit just because it makes it easier at the end to get paid. No fuss, no muss. Just thank the client for their business as you're leaving and mark their invoice paid. When you get to your vehicle, just run the balance and on to the next job. Now let's talk about commercial accounts. Generally, they want you to bill them for the work you do. While the invoice amounts are generally higher than residential work as a rule, watch these accounts closely. If you decide to have commercial accounts, be sure you have a written stone agreement on payment. As mentioned with residential work, before any work is done, determine how you'll get paid. It is not unusual for commercial accounts to stretch you out 30, 60, and sometimes 90 days for payment. It's absolutely ridiculous. One fellow I know sets the agreement to be paid 50% down on the corporate credit card. And don't let them fool you. They all have them because all their other vendors want payment up front, such as hotels, restaurant, and taxis. He then bills the remainder of the job on the same credit card in 30 days. Carved in stone, that's the way it is. That's not a bad deal there. He then bills the remainder on the same credit card in 30 days. It's a pretty good deal there. I tend to shy away from commercial work because of the billing cycles and the hassles that accompany them, but I know people who are strictly commercial and are very successful at it, so it may be an avenue for you. It could just be a personality thing, I guess. Now, let's talk about overdue accounts. You should be billing everything upon services rendered, but should you have some overdue accounts receivable, be tactful but firm when calling your client about an overdue account. Just assume that they're honest until proven guilty. It's very possible your invoice just got lost in the shuffle of life. When calling on overdue residential accounts, always call the person who approved the work. His or her signature should be on your invoice. If they can't pay you right then with a credit card, find out when to expect it and agree to pick it up in person on the day agreed. People will dodge you, but be professional but firm. Don't take no for an answer and always get a promised time of payment or payments. On overdue commercial accounts, call and ask for the accounting department. Always get the name of the person you're dealing with and record it for follow-up if necessary. It's very important. You don't want to be talking to 3 or 4 different people. Generally, they need to look into it and they will get back to you. Okay? Politely ask for a time to expect them to call you back. If you've not heard from them in 1 hour past that time, call them and remind them that they had promised to call you at the time agreed and that you did not hear back from them. This is hard-nosed, but they need to know that you're serious about the debt and they need to handle it now rather than later. For me, the biggest hassle is that I'm used to just getting paid upon services rendered. I get paid right now. And it's a complete time suck for me to have to keep following up to get paid. It just gets under my skin. Keep following up until it's handled. A short story before I close. In one particular case, I went over the accountant's head that kept dodging me and giving me excuses and no follow-up. I looked the CEO of the corporation up on the internet, and today there are just many avenues to get a CEO's email. In this case, I simply Googled him, and there he was. I sent him a professional sounding and polite email letter. I emailed him the invoice and a list of contact times and dates so that I spoke to his accountant. I got paid the next day.